Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Pages to Pixels podcast. I'm Keertana, this is Rohan, and today we are going to talk about A Nice Indian Boy. What did you think of it?
Um, I was. It's funny because when I first saw the trailer, I didn't think it looked very good.
Hmm.
I don't think the marketing did a good job. They kind of portrayed it as just like they portrayed it like a generic uh rom-com that either it's gonna come out, there's gonna be some laughs, which there was,
Hmm.
and then you'll watch it and you'll forget about it.
Right.
Um, it really didn't seem that special. But then I actually watched the
Hmm.
movie, and
Hmm.
I was very impressed by it because I felt that, if you look at the Wikipedia summary, it is kind of, it's like, yeah, that's a normal rom-com, but I think the way that the story was told,
Hmm.
um, whether it's the pacing, the editing, but also really the insights into the
Hmm.
character, specifically the main character played by Karan Soni.
Yeah.
Um, I thought it was very, very well done.
Hmm. I agree. I got to watch it quite a while ago because it didn't really get a wide theatrical release. And
I
just
did
for a bit
not.
of context, this is a rom com that came out a little earlier this year. It's a gay love story, and we have a South Asian protagonist playing like a really cool doctor in this film. Yeah, so I watched it a while ago, and I mean, I think I think I share your sentiments in that when the teaser first came out, it did feel like a very generic, like beat by beat, straightforward rom com. But when I watched
Yep.
it, I was very pleasantly surprised. Um, they definitely leaned into a few tropes, I would say, but they didn't rely on them to take the story through. And at the end of the day, I feel like the writing had a lot of heart, and that really came through for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we both mentioned it, that hey, this does feel very kind of beat for beat,
Hmm.
which again, if you summarize the story, I think it is a little
Right.
beat for beat. Um there's the two love interests are established, there's a meet cute, and then um they learn a little bit more about each other. At some point they're gonna get engaged,
Hmm.
but then there's gonna be a big falling out, and they're gonna like have a breakup, but at the end they're gonna come back together and it's all gonna work
Hmm.
out. That's kind of exactly what happened in this movie.
Right. I
um,
think the thing with. Sorry, were you about to say something?
no, no, go ahead.
No, I think the thing with genre stories is sometimes when you lean into the genre, because your audience is so used to this, like, beat by beat version of this story, it does give you a little more room to experiment in terms of like theme and perspective and stuff like that, because it's not too hard pills to swallow, right? Like you're presenting new perspective in a very palatable format,
Right.
which is what I think this movie did really well. And when I'm talking about perspective, yes, this is a gay love story, and we don't see that very often. But for me, one of the things that stood out was they managed to tell the story without fully just like villainizing the parents, which is a trope
Hmm.
I see so often in South Asian content. And I'm personally like, to me, the comedy of that just never works. Um, so this was a very pleasant surprise to see that the parents' perspective was, while we understand that it is very like those points of view might be flawed, they're never mocked, and I thought that was a very interesting choice.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If anyone, I think the sister was the villain of
Yeah.
the story. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, she kind of sucked.
Yeah, she
I'm gonna
really
be
did.
honest. Yeah.
Yeah, like very like I hate saying this about like generally mostly like women characters on screen, but she was just nagging all the time, and I don't know, that
Hmm.
that one like did not work for me.
Yeah,
I sorry,
I
sorry, go
have
ahead.
noticed that it is becoming a new trope where, especially in LGBT
Mm-hmm.
movies, where the sibling
Mm-hmm.
is is the main villain, not the
Yeah.
not the parents.
Mm-hmm.
There was a movie with Anil Kapoor,
Mm-hmm.
and Sonam Kapoor. That's his daughter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
she's also in the movie. It was I think it's called Ek Ladki Ko Dekha,
Mm-hmm.
To Aisa Laga.
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, in it, it's like the main guy who was super um opposed to her uh being lesbian was the brother, not even the parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. I wonder why that shift happened. But no, her character, I think her name was Madhuri or Madhu or something like that. And I think it's been a minute. But
Sorry?
wasn't her name like Madhuri or Madhu or something with an M?
Oh, I do not remember.
Yeah, all I remember is like um, Jonathan Groff's character went and smoked up, and she just told on him like immediately, and I was like, why? Like,
Yeah.
just chill
Hmm.
for 2 seconds. It was a very interesting choice, I think, um, to have Jonathan Groff play this Bollywood loving uh, singer character. It was very cool. I was able to see a question and answer session with the team right after the screening, and the director was saying that the point of this was um, all like Indian parents want their children to marry a nice Indian boy, right? Like
Hmm.
my parents want me to marry a nice Indian boy. So like their take was, what if this nice Indian boy was a white man and the child was your son? Like what would happen? Like that was the intent behind how they played it. I really enjoyed the whole. I like how they weirdly centered the narrative around DDLJ, which was
Yeah.
it was very amusing.
It
Have you
almost
watched?
yeah.
Sorry,
It almost gaslit me into liking that movie.
I yeah, I know what you mean because um, clearly Karan Soni's character has a lot of love for the film, and I don't. But they really picked the moments to talk about. They picked like I guess some of the nicer moments from DDLJ to just really lean into it, and I don't know. It was very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that movie either.
Yeah,
I understand. Listen, that said, if the writers were to come to me and be like, "Hey, we want a Bollywood rom-com to like constantly reference, which one should we do?" It's going to be DDLJ
yeah.
because it is at the end of the day, it is the big influential
Mm-hmm.
one. It's the iconic one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like if somebody was like, "Hey, I want to um make like a crime drama and like which movie should I reference?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say The Godfather or
Right,
Goodfellas. I'm not big on
right,
The Godfather,
right.
personally,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like because I watched that movie and I'm like, yeah, I've seen it all before, but
Right.
I've seen it all before because
They
it was established in The
yeah.
Godfather, and then everyone else ripped it off.
Right. Yeah, I feel I see what you mean. I mean, DDLJ has technically been playing in a theater for like 25 years now or something like that. They still run a show, I think.
Hmm.
So it's, yeah, like you can't deny that, like, there
Yeah,
is a big influence it has on most rom coms today. I like Karan Soni's little Shah Rukh hairdo. Um,
yeah,
and they did the cornfields as well. I thought it was not cornfields, like flower fields or whatever. But
yep.
no, I like that they leaned into that trope. I thought all the performances were a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I'm a little mixed on the Jonathan Groff
Mm-hmm.
performance. I can't tell if it's his performance or his character.
Right,
There was just an element of like too him being too like perfect.
right. Mm-hmm.
It was so much so that at the beginning of the movie I was like, wait, is he even like real or is it just something going on in Sony's head? And then obviously
Right.
very quickly it's like, no, he is real. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just every time they shot him, every time he spoke,
Mm-hmm.
um, it really felt like there was like this dreamlike like
Right.
thing over him, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
whether it's like he's being backlit or whatever, it's like the music. Um, it just felt it just he felt like not as fully of a human, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I also thought that his dialogue felt like he was always saying the right thing, which was quite
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's the Jim Halpert syndrome, right? Where it's like you really like him, but then it's almost like too good to be true. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it didn't really stand out to me that much. I mean, I did enjoy the humor of it.
Mhm.
So I don't remember having strong feelings about this. I did think that the father character's arc was really compelling.
Mhm.
Were you about to say something?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought
So
you were
I
gonna elaborate more.
Yeah, yeah. No, I thought that the father character's arc was very compelling because I thought as a character he was written very true to kind of what you would expect from a person of that race, that ethnicity, that thought process. But um, the performance was really good, but also the character was written to where the arc didn't seem impossible. Like he
Yep.
still like he didn't turn over a new leaf overnight, and he didn't like do it in a flashy performative manner. Like it was still understated. He still did it within the confines of what his behavior
Yeah.
perhaps has been throughout. And I thought I was very into that whole. I liked
Mhm.
watching that happen on screen. It
Yeah.
was inspiring.
Yeah, I like the way that they did it, where it was just the dates
Hmm.
in the is it korma? I think that's what he
Yeah,
was making.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah.
yeah, and I liked that was a good way to do it as opposed to, like you said, making it something super flashy.
Hmm.
I will say though, like Gundam's only recognizing that there are dates
Yeah.
in it.
Hmm.
Um, like I'm sorry, is that full like family like an expert on cooking or something? It's like I can okay because he can be like hey it tastes different and then it's like oh there's
Right.
dates in it.
Right.
Uh
Right. Right. Right.
yeah, but but that's like oh are there dates in this? It's like damn, it's like everyone just has a super fine palate, I guess.
I guess so. I would not be able to tell that at all. But no, I see what you mean. I guess cinematic liberties, I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I know. It's just funny.
yeah, the
It's not an
mom
actual complaint.
right. The mom character was interesting. Did her jokes land for you?
Some of them did, some of them didn't.
Hmm. I feel like she was basically playing her stand-up persona on screen.
Yep.
Um, and because I've seen her stand up a lot, I was like, it was almost like I could tell what the punchline was because they're very,
Yeah.
uh, like, it's a very basic, like, writing pattern when you see her, like, just dialogues in general.
I
But
agree.
but the performances were very sincere and I really liked it. The
Hmm.
dynamic between her and her husband was also really nice. Especially when there's that one scene where he comes to sit next to her and she's like, "Can you just fuck off? Like, just go away." Like, I thought that was very real. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, very well done character work, I would say.
I agree. I think it's also I like that the parents don't start off at the same point. I mean,
Hmm.
there's definitely similarities because I think they're both to a certain extent uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Um, but they express it in different ways, and definitely the mom feels a little bit more comfortable than the dad. But the
Hmm.
mom is like she's uncomfortable. She kind of like it's very obvious that she's kind of trying to overcompensate
Hmm.
um with
Right.
herself being uncomfortable,
Hmm.
um whether it's watching whatever it is on whatever that one channel is. She's like oh yeah I watch this stuff, and
Yeah. Yeah.
she keeps trying to bring stuff up which ends up just making um the main character Karanzoni
Hmm.
um uncomfortable,
Uncomfortable.
and then the dad is very much like I don't want to talk about this.
Hmm.
um So it's like, they're not they're both clearly don't know how to deal with this, but they're also but I like that, that's what you want to do. You want to have each character be a little different. So I like that they're dealing with kind of the same issue in a different manner.
Hmm.
And they're also, their levels of discomfort is it's not exactly even. It's, the dad is a little bit higher, the mom's a little bit lower.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think it's also quite clever because I think many times the instinct is to kind of just write them to be in the same little bubble,
Right.
because you view them almost as a unit, right? And so
Hmm.
like it was good that they were able to get away from that. So this is based on a play, um, and I found that out only because I was able to be at that question and answer session, and the original playwright was also there, and
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it was a very interesting panel, and she was talking about how, the reason she chose to write it the way she did, where the parents' point of view was again not mocked, where it was given like the space to breathe, and we were allowed to see the world from their like point of view. She was saying that the reason she did that was because I think she was born and brought up here, but she realized that fundamentally she had the same principles as her parents, um, but just the way they viewed the world was so wildly different, and she found that fascinating. Because she was like, on an ethical level, we don't really disagree on much. Like, these are reasonable people. But in my life, they feel like straight up antagonists because they don't see the world the way I do. Um,
Hmm.
and I thought that with that context, the film was really elevated for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Hmm.
I actually didn't know it was based off play until you just said it now.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't read that way for sure. Like it's been adapted pretty well because,
Hmm.
like, usually you'll see when you see like a film that's been adapted from a play, you'll see that it's limited locations, it's larger
Yeah.
scenes, stuff like that. There was none of that. I thought it was adapted very effectively.
Hmm.
Um, I what do you think of the dance numbers? Because there were, I think, three of them, if not more.
Yeah. Guns is not the best answer. Let's just let's be honest.
Yeah, but hey, they tried. Um,
Yeah.
No, it was very interesting. I thought that the wedding ceremony itself was very interesting. It's very not what we see. Um,
Yeah, it was cute.
yeah. No, it was I guess if I had to if I had to summarize like what I liked about the film was that it was just new perspective in general, like across the board, and that was very enjoyable for me.
Hmm. Yeah, I would say that I think I'm gonna go a step further. I think because I think what I expected from this movie is hey, you're gonna get a very generic rom-com. The only difference is it's gonna be about instead of a straight couple, it's gonna be a gay couple. One of them is Indian.
Right.
So what I expected was just a rom-com with a different perspective. But I think what they ended up giving, specifically with the Karanzoni character, and I can't remember the character name off the top of my head, um, but I think it ended up being a really kind of introspective look of what happens when you're in the closet. Because his character, it's not just about him. His flaw isn't just that he's in the closet, but he's suppressing everything else, like all other emotions. Like he doesn't emote a lot, especially in
Right.
the beginning of the
Hmm.
movie.
Right.
Um, Whether it's him being sad or like excited and stuff like that, he is a very mellow. He has a very mellow personality throughout, and I think his performance is good enough to where um you can still get what he's feeling without him like emoting a lot.
Right. Right. Right.
That's just a testament to being able to act with the layers.
Hmm.
Um, but it's really, oh, again, going back to it's him being in the closet. I think portrays, um, this movie has the best depiction of what it feels like to be closeted that I've ever seen. Because even though he's technically not, he he's in this weird stage where he's out, but he's not able to talk about it with his family. So in a sense, he is still in the closet, and he is suppressing himself and his own emotions and his own personality, and he's becoming he's kind of just going through um, life without being able to authentically experience it. And that is his arc. It's not just about, hey, you got to be more upfront with who you are with the others, but you actually also have to be able to not just express your emotions, but also truly experience life. Uh, and for me, that's what elevates this movie.
When you see him in the beginning of the film, you're right. Like he doesn't emote much. He sits. He's very much by himself. I think the opening shot of the film is him sitting alone while everybody else is dancing at his sister's
Yep.
wedding. There's also this simmering, almost angst that you can kind of feel through him. Like I thought, until he at least meets his love interest, um, and I don't know. I thought that was very like you said, like you can see the layers for sure, and
Yeah.
it was not the um, Rosa Diaz, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like poker face act. Like it was
Yeah.
like definitely much more layered than that. And
Hmm.
it was really, really cool to see him like flourish and, you know, turn into this, like you said, like very
Yeah.
authentic version of himself at the end. Um, I will say that some of the humor early on worked a lot for me. Like in general, I like deadpan humor. So when he was playing into that, I thought like especially like when he's at the hospital, like some of the jokes landed really well for
Oh
me.
yeah.
Did you know that the director's also a practicing doctor? Like right now, like he didn't leave his
I
day
did
job
not
to
know
make this
that.
movie. Yeah, um, yeah. I mean, talk about overachieving. I guess I don't know.
I know.
Um, but no, this was a very fun experience. I really wish more stuff like this comes out. I wish more people get to see content like this. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not entirely sure where it's streaming at the moment, but I'm sure that there'll be a day when it comes out and it's available
Hmm.
for people to
Yeah.
buy.
It is available like on demand.
Hmm.
But I don't think it's like part of a streaming service. Like you can just open up
Hmm.
Netflix and watch it, or Prime Video. I mean, it's on Prime, but you got to pay the
Right.
extra. It's not like it's included in your subscription.
Yeah, fun fact. Apparently, when you put your movie up on Prime for like pay per view or whatever, or like where people have to buy it, you make very little money off of it. I had a friend who had a film on there, and she was. I think the price to watch it was $6, $5, or something like that, and she was like, "I see like a couple of cents every time
Oh
one
damn!
buys it." Yeah, it's very yeah. Especially, I think if you're indie and like you're putting it out there on your own, it's the margins
Damn!
are a joke. Um, but because we are talking about streaming and stuff like that, have you heard that they're doing for Sitare Zameen Par, which is Amar Khan's next film? He's outright said that he's not going to put it up on any streaming service, and once there's an 8 week theatrical run, like after 8 weeks of the theatrical run, he's going to just put it on YouTube as pay per view or like to buy and rent.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, I think it's very brave, and I really hope it works out well because I feel like
Hmm.
at this point, streamers have so much of a monopoly on like even type of content that it's time to kind of take back some of that liberty, you know?
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Let's see what happens though, because I just feel like not
Yeah,
many people are gonna watch it.
it's interesting because I wonder if Sitare Zameen Par is the kind of film that that should champion that movement because it's a different genre of film. I wouldn't imagine like a big like mass audience is going to want to watch it after it's
Hmm.
in the theater. Like if it was a big,
Right.
like if it was a multi-star or like Salman Khan film or something like that, then I can see the logic of something like I would see I think I would predict better numbers on a film like that than Sitare Zameen Par. But I think it's
Right.
high time that there's an alternative to just a regular OTT release. So I have my
Hmm.
fingers crossed for them. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I know that for some of the um especially uh pre-COVID, the general release used to be like, yeah, it was in theaters, it was there for whatever the minimum weeks was, and then it would come out on digital, so just on demand, or
Hmm.
YouTube Prime, whatever. Um and then it would come out on streaming.
Hmm.
So it was like by the time it like when it came in theaters to when it's available on a streaming like subscription based platform,
Hmm.
it's been like 6 months already. And there was a lot of movies where for years, because if people are willing to pay, like per view,
Hmm.
it wouldn't go on streaming. I remember The Dark Knight for the longest time was not on streaming.
Hmm.
And that's because people are just willing to to pay every time, and they kept making money. They didn't put it on streaming until way later.
Hmm. That's very interesting. I mean, I wonder if, because there's two sides of this, right? As an audience, you want more access to a lot of content at cheaper prices. So it kind of sucks when they decide to put it on pay-per-view. But as a creator, you want to make sure that your team is fairly compensated and everybody's time and
Yeah.
effort is recognized. So I wonder what the balance is. It's going to be interesting to see how this stuff plays out.
All right. All right, so it's time for our scores. And as a reminder, or if you're new, the way we score things here is on the script coverage scale. There is pass when we think movie's not all that good, consider when we think it's decent, and recommend when we think it's great.
Hmm.
As a reminder, this is not an actual recommendation, it's just how we score things here. So with that said, how would you rate A Nice Indian Boy?
I think I'm going to give it a strong recommend. Um, it is great. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to give it a strong recommend. It was a movie that I honestly did not want to watch at first because I thought it looked a little, for lack of a better word, cringy.
Hmm.
But then when I watched it, I actually thought um, I thought it was great and just one of the best written screenplays in a while.
Yeah. I mean, also in your defense, I feel like Hollywood has time and time and again given us like terrible representation, like cringy content and
Hmm.
like terrible stereotypes, and they've just said this is what like South Asian content is. So I think it was fair that you had your apprehensions early on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that. It's not like Hollywood. It's like just rom-coms in general. Like if you look at actual South Asian rom-coms, most of them are trash. I'm sorry.
So what else have you been watching?
Yeah, so I just saw the new live action How to Train Your Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I watched it last night, and it is essentially the same movie
Mm-hmm.
as the animated movie. With that said, um, I think it still works because I think the difference between this one and some of the bigger Disney ones, whether it was like Beauty and the Beast, um, or even Aladdin
Mm-hmm.
or The Lion King. But I think what sets this one apart from those is that even though it's the same movie, it didn't feel soulless.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know you could say, hey, that's easy if you're just kind of recreating the first movie, um,
Mm-hmm.
shot for shot, which I would say it's easier.
Right.
I still think that the cast and crew involved, if you're gonna recreate it and keep the soul,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a love and a care for the original, and you have to recognize why do people like the original.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because of what the shots look like or what the dialogue is.
Right.
There is something else there that people are latching on to.
Mm-hmm.
And it does help when you have the same director
Mm-hmm.
come back.
Right.
Um, so, and yeah, I think they recaptured it. Yeah, will I probably go back to this one? No, but it was great still.
Mm-hmm. I've been seeing a lot of videos of the new rides that they have at Universal Studios Florida. Um,
Yeah,
I'm excited to look at them and try them out.
I know.
Um, this week I watched Phoenician Scheme. Um, I
Nice.
quite liked it. I'm biased because I like Wes Anderson's general style of filmmaking also, and I thought this was I, I specifically enjoyed Phoenician Scheme because I thought it was very tightly written. It's like, I mean, most of his screenplays are super tight, but here there was just like no flab. Like you couldn't cut out like one line from this film. Like it was really tight, and I really enjoyed the performances. And I think when you have a
Nice.
director with a specific vision, it really comes across on screen. It's like you can tell that everybody knew what they wanted out of these pages, and it's nice to see intentional filmmaking like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll probably check it out eventually. I'm not
Hmm.
as big on Wes Anderson as you are.
Hmm.
Um, I think his style works for me up until like the midpoint of
Right.
all of his movies, and then I'm like, all right, I get
Right.
it.
It is indulgent. There's no two ways about that. Like it is like it's super like not only
Hmm.
self-indulgent but almost even like I would say that there were bits of this movie that I thought were like self-referential and everything, which was interesting. Um, so I get where you're coming from.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, if it works, it works. I just noticed that I tend to like I'm watching movies and like the first half, I'm like, this is awesome, this is amazing, and then I just start getting tired.
Yeah, yeah, fatigue definitely sets in. I think that's what I meant when I said that the screenplay was super tight because I couldn't afford it. Because it felt like if I stop paying attention for like 30 seconds, like I'm going to lose a
Hmm.
lot. Which is a good and a bad thing, I would say.
Yeah.
Uh, but no, great watch. If anyone wants to check it out, I would recommend it.
All right. And that is it for this week's episode of Pages to Pixels. I'm Rohan,
I'm Kirtana.
and we'll see you next week with a brand new movie. Thank you.
Thank you.